IHC Engines, International Harvester Company. You'll find them with the IHC badge on there, or the brass tag, the big tag, the aluminum tag, McCormick Deering. The fuel pumps, it's kind of generic from the first one, the Model M, from the first one to the last one, similar in operation. To clear something up, the last video there I did have a nut on there, and that's just so that I wouldn't lose that stud out of there. The way that works is this stud bolt right here goes in the whole thing there to break it all down, and that's a 7/16 14 thread in the block. So you'd run that tap in there, clean them threads up, and then put your stud in there. This here collar, the wire part of it, and the way that works is that bushing that's in there it's taller than this is. This bushing is longer than this, so that the rocker there actually turns on that. The bushing don't turn, and that would go down in yonder like that, bushing in yonder, and the washer, and it's a sufficient size to where that it catches that bushing in yonder, and then your nut would go on there and lock all of that together so that it'll pivot freely. That's the way that works. Just was on there for safekeeping, not to confuse, to keep it all together. The bushing in the rocker type is longer and skinnier to work on this pivot bolt here, but let's not get up to there just yet. The 7/16 14 in the thread, remember that. We've cleared up that stud bolt part. The thread on this rod right here is 3/8 24. 3/8 24. Run you a tap in the nuts, clean up that thread. Run you a die on the outside to clean up that thread. Let's see, where was we at? Not to leave anything out. And all of these pumps can be installed and removed without taking the flywheel off. Just remember that you can work on the fuel pumps without removing the flywheels. There is a way to do that. Another thing is these, as I was explaining in the last video, the fuel pump, it has the lever on it, and this right here, that's a pump up. You can pump up your carburetor reservoir full of fuel with this right here. Makes it really easy. That was an improvement rather than just having to fill up the fuel bowl with a funnel and a accessory can. There's two types of these eccentric straps. One of them has no roller on it, and one of them has a roller. That roller should be free turning and have no flat places on it. You will encounter these quite often, that where this roller rides on to that rocker arm. If it has no oil on here, it will wear this quite badly, or it will put a flat place on your eccentric. And you can see there where that one is worn, but not bad. That one's been cleaned up. Some of them will be worn really, really bad. This type eccentric strap is required if you have this type fuel pump. It's the only one. This one won't work there because you won't have nothing to operate it with. Because this is a fairly easy shaft to make. And to answer a couple of questions, I think up on Harry's old engine website, there was a question about these fuel pumps. And this one here, this shaft here, that's 5 3/4 of an inch long. It's 3/8 24 thread on there. Just a corresponding size stud. And this, the thread on this end, this is a factory one. The thread on this one is 2 7/8 inches long. The thread on this one is 3/4 of an inch long. This is the part that goes in the block. And you know, the corresponding nuts and bolts and hardware, just this one would go like that. The bushing would go on here. This would go in here. And to show you that in real time, a nut, a washer, the rocker arm, a washer, a nut, and 2 spacer washers. And this here would be inside the block. Okay, it would be like that. When this goes in that housing, that will position everything to where that will all line up. And you'd use the amount of washers down here to put this in the center of that. It's quite self-explanatory. Aha! Y'all see that little thing right there? Sediment bowl. Oh, you're gonna need one of them. Set that aside. These rockers, this is one type. This is the other type. All of them go same place. Okay, there's another type. This one. That's where you was going to need that there sediment bowl at. And it has a rocker. Let's set that aside. It has a rocker made like this. It's got an oil hole right down in yonder. Right down in there is where you oil this one. This one don't use a stud across through there. It uses a long bolt that would go in this front hole up here. This fuel pump here was used on the last few months of production. This one does have some original paint on it, which kind of leads us, all of us, to the fact that there was no primer on these engines. None of them was primered. There was never any primered. Also, it leads us to the fact that these engines was probably painted after assembly, and they were painted very poorly. Its original color. This one has not been disassembled as of yet. May not disassemble it. May keep this in for show and tell as is. But it's intact, complete. And these fuel pumps right here, these glass bowl type, this is not a rare fuel pump by no means. I don't know the number of engines that I have bought that had these on there, but it's quite common. This is not a rare part by no means. They didn't make a lot of them. The production number, from what I can read about it, these was a low production number on them, but it's not rare. Oh, with that said, the strap that would go with this one is this one. It does not have the roller on it. And this roller here is the one that rides on the cam. the cam operates this. Exhaust, this is the exhaust cam roller. The exhaust cam push rod would screw into this. It did not get a lock washer here, it only got a jam nut. Not a lock nut, jam nut.